So now we're gonna get into secret number 3. For me, that is that for you that was the value ladder, right?
Uh huh.
So for me, let's look at it from a ladder to a funnel.
Yeah, neat.
Okay, so
But I mean, it's good because each section's been a segue. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's been like this and that, and
yep.
it's always the one removed. So yep.
So we just talked about the value ladder. We're talking about going from a ladder to a funnel, and basically, if you don't understand why we say funnel, you can see here in the drawing that there's an actual funnel there, and that's the multiple steps that you go through. And I even have a little cheat sheet here that I wrote down my notes on. On here, it talks about the bait, the front end, the middle, and the back end. But really, what that's getting to is the 4 psychological states that people go through. So, your content creates awareness. So somebody becomes aware of your brand. I've heard of Farfetched. I've heard of Russell Brunson. Then your story usually will have a landing page or a squeeze page behind it and some sort of video. So that's there to create interest. Then next, the interest hopefully will lead them to desire. And a lot of times what this means is that they'll sign up for your email list, and you kind of have to push another message to them before they want to buy. But once they have the desire for your product or your service, then they take action, which is either signing up for an email list, they make a purchase, they come to a webinar, so on and so forth. So there's four basic steps in the funnel, and with your ladder, your hook story offer, that's how you take people through those pieces of the funnel. And the reason it's symbolized as a funnel is because at the top there's more people than at the bottom. So if you reach 100 people, the law of attrition says that going into the next step, you're probably going to lose 80% of them. Not to say that they don't want your product. It typically takes, I just read, about 5 points of contact before somebody will buy from you. But not everybody that clicks the link is going to go through the landing page and through onto your offer. So you're going to lose about 80% in just the first step, so which means you have about 20 people, and then you're going to lose about 50% going into the next step, which means you have 10, and then you're going to lose another 50% to actually buy, which is not bad. That's actually a pretty good percentage when we think about marketing and email opening. The global average is about 4%. So if you get 5 people out of 100 to buy your offer, you're already doing better. Exactly. You're already doing better. You're getting 5%. So don't be discouraged that a lot less people come through the end of the process than started off at the beginning. That's just the way it goes. But continue to put out content, more hooks, so that people you can resonate with more people, and the more touches that you have, the more likely somebody is to make it through your whole process and make a purchase.
Agreed. So with that in mind, he did mention that, as you go, you'll filter out who's going to buy. So speaking of which, you definitely want to consider having different funnels at each part of the ladder, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the takeaway I would have from the segue to the sections, because then it goes into the next part is like how to actually go into your attractive character once they actually enter the funnels and things like that.
Right.
And each one of your sections are going to have to involve some type of description of an entity that the client can relate to guide them into buying exactly what you wish to offer them, or pretty much just taking the offer. So
exactly. And the attractive character, and I'm so glad that you bring this up, because my next secret is how to find your dream customers. But I want to talk about the attractive character because that harks back to the story piece of hook story offer. So a lot of us are uncomfortable being the person in front of the camera. And I know that I struggled with it at first.
I definitely struggled with it for a long time. I still kind of do.
Exactly. We all have insecurities, and that can keep us from being the person that's out front for our brand and our business. But let me tell you right now that you have to get over that. You have to get over that. Either you get over it or you find somebody that can be your attractive character. But if you think about every movement, every great company, or really anything that you've ever seen people follow en masse, there was always one attractive character that drew them in. And for that person to open up and be vulnerable, or really just tell the story of calling ourselves to our higher selves like Martin Luther King, or tell the story of why a personal computer can be your friend, Steve Jobs. That person, there has to be one person that is telling the story.
Yeah, think about any movement that you remember. You can think of a person that's connected to it, or an entity that's connected to it, and that's the idea here. So when actually breaking down the concepts throughout the story or throughout this book, you find out different ways to take what your dream customer, ideas of that, and if you start off as your first dream customer, then your attractive character kind of like segues into being synonymous with exactly what you would want to offer your dream customer. It just so things that are a part of your character that align and resonate well, to where you can make it effortless to put out your story of your attractive character.
Yeah, and getting into sort of the nuts and bolts of being in a funnel or being in part of a ladder, there are going to be emails that you set up to auto respond when somebody signs up for your list. And so when you do that, Russell Brunson talks about really a principle that he studied from every movement that he's looked at, is you tell a story. You tell different stories about yourself. And like Jelani was talking about, you want that to resonate with the people that you're also trying to sell to, who's your dream client. So you tell stories about yourself that are going to resonate with that person having the same conversation in their head that you had in your head before you started your business, and see how that actually does give feedback. Some people may not resonate with the first story you tell, and the first story you tell should be the epiphany bridge. We can get into the details of that in a second, but number one, you need to tell stories about yourself that you believe your dream client or dream customer is going to also resonate with. And the first story, getting into the epiphany bridge in detail, the first story should be your epiphany bridge. What that means is at some point you were facing an issue or needed to solve a problem, and you kept running into a wall, and it's basically the hero's journey. So you're called to solve the problem, then you hit a wall, you decide to pursue the solution, then you hit a wall, you overcome that, and then your journey splits into two, because there's the thing that you're going for physically, whether that's a product or a service that solves your problem, but there's also something in you that changes. When you start a business, there's something in you that changes. Not everybody goes through this process as an entrepreneur at the same rate, but we are all going through a process of becoming our better selves. And so the Epiphany Bridge tells that overarching story of how I got from working in a lab at Washington University to starting my own business and running a company that now sells music and merchandise around the globe, and is starting to get some real traction.
Yeah, man. I mean, and with that in mind, with all of what you just said in mind, it's important to also realize the phases of a funnel, and that's essentially what you were getting into with the Epiphany Bridge based on the type of traffic. So that goes into the next secret, which is the 7 phases of a funnel.
Boom.
And then so it starts off with phase 1, identifying your traffic between hot, cold, and warm. The phase 2 is for your bridge, your Epiphany bridge and preframe bridge, as they put it here. Phase 3 is after they cross that bridge with the things that you give them about being vulnerable and things like that. You then go into qualifying subscribers. So once they know who you are and once they know what you're about, then they decide at that point if they want to subscribe to your email list. And then that leads into phase 4, which is after they subscribe, qualifying buyers of those subscribers. So some people may just subscribe because they want to see you again and maybe be convinced later, but then there's others who are convinced right away that they want what you have to offer. And then phase number 5 is identifying hyperactive buyers, not just the people who will buy a one-off project or just a CD. They'll want to buy your whole album for the year, or, you know, if you have a subscription service where it's a Patreon or something and you offer them things every day. These days, OnlyFans is one of those things that are coming up where it's a subscriber, like you, it's like Patreon, but for simpler endeavors. It's like a good mix of like the popularity context with, okay, you sub to me, now you get even more than just the looks, right? So, and then you go into phase 6, which is age and ascend the relationship. So that way, you know, once they are a subscriber and they see how you're growing as a brand and they see that you're offering more and more over time, your clients are aging with you. So then that's when you get to phase number 7, which is change the selling environment. You know, so those are the 7, you know, phases of the funnel that it outlines in the first part of that.
That makes so much sense. Just talking about phase 7 is like when you come to a brand and you go through their funnel initially or go through their ladder a little bit, maybe it was just a Facebook ad. And so now you want a little bit more. Maybe you want to go to a webinar. You want to get a chance to talk and have feedback with the person that sold to you initially. And so changing the environment of where people are definitely makes a lot of sense when it comes to, you know, really kind of following along with what people are going to want in addition to your core offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's a good segue into secret number 7, which is follow-up funnels. You know, so like you said, once you change that environment, that then like they've already ascended through the funnel to get to this point.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, now I'm here. And now you follow up and be like, all right, well, if you like that, we always have stuff that we can offer you, but we also know that reasonably you can only digest so much or take in so much. So we do follow-ups like, you know, hey, you've already been through this. Here's my daily sequence of what I'm doing. Is this relevant to you? If it's not, that's cool. I'll see you tomorrow. You know, stuff like that. Right. So let's get into it.
And yeah, so one of the things you mentioned earlier about like keeping it simple, I don't think you said it in those words, but basically you want to keep it simple. You want one funnel for one product. You don't want multiple funnels going to one product. You don't want one funnel going to multiple products. You want one funnel for .com secrets. You want another funnel for expert secrets. You want a separate funnel for traffic secrets. And I guess I misspoke. You might want multiple funnels going to one thing, but you really only want those funnels to be focused on that one product, because a confused mind will always say no. And so you can think about times you've gone to a website where there's just a ton of options and you're like, I don't know, I guess I'll pick this one just to pick something. Or maybe you just bounced off the website, and that's where those bounce rates that you see coming from on your page or your website might come from, is like people get there and they don't know exactly what they're supposed to do, so they leave. And that's not to say anything against you. It's just not as clear what you want them to do. And always give a call to action. Always give a call to action when you're putting out any kind of content, any kind of ad. You want to let people know exactly what to do. Click the link below. DM me this word, you know, and, you know, use a little bit of scarcity. You're going to get this 20% off today if you use it today, but tomorrow if you come back, you may not get that discount. So again, keep it simple on the follow-up, but you do want to continue to follow up so that you can provide more value to people. And again, you can use email autoresponders to be able to give this content out for you so that you're not using all of your time to write emails and make content. You should be continually making content, but you shouldn't be using too much of your time simply on that.
Yeah. So those honestly are the first 7 secrets of the book, and then after that it gets into section 2 of the book.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea of how much we went into today, we were doing our best to at least try not to go too far into it, because each of these sections we could spend lots of time on separately, just going into the nitty gritty and the details of each part. But we wanted to give you an idea of what you're in store for if you go ahead and try to get this book. And can you let people know how you can at least help them get it?
Yeah, so in the description below this video that you're seeing, or if you're listening to it on podcast, we'll put the link in the description there. You'll see my affiliate link for the Dotcom Secrets book. You'll be able to get it for free plus shipping. Shipping is only $9.95. So for $10, you're going to get this book, which retails at $19.95 before, and now
$26.99 now for the hardback copy.
So for about a third of the price, you can get this book for yourself. We're going to put that link in the comments, in the description. Go there and get it. You can see a video from Russell Brunson for him to explain it a little bit more to you. And then we're going to leave 2 of my secrets from my first section until later, because once we get into talking about how to find your dream customers, as well as the 3 types of traffic, that's really a separate section from the things that we talked about today. Hook story offer is really your keys, and you're going to start to see everything as a hook story offer over time. I know Russell said this to me before, and I didn't really believe it, but now I can kind of see it almost everywhere. Hook story offer, hook story offer. Remember that. If you don't remember anything else from today, remember hook, story, offer, and then you can rewatch this to see what those mean. Or you can pick up the book and read what it means. And like I said, if you want to go through my funnel, I'll also post that link, and that's where you can get the bonuses. I also provide some coaching at a small fee and things like that. But we really want to thank you for joining us today on Market in Darkness podcast.
Until next time.
It's all about the level up.